Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Jade. Today we are talking about forgiveness. Can you name anything that people do that are good or bad? Now imagine you have two friends, right? So let's name the one person Adam. And Adam always steals. And the other friend's name is Eve. And Eve always shares her things. And when Adam is lazy at school, Eve works really hard. Who would you rather have as a friend? Jesus liked to teach people that God really does love everyone, but sometimes people would get upset and think that they are much better than other people. Jesus tells us stories to explain that both types of people deserve to be loved. You know, Adam, maybe he's a thief, but we still have to love him. And even though Eve shares all her things, we need to love her too. Do you guys know what forgiveness means? Forgiveness means to wipe the slate clean, to give someone a second chance. When we wrong our friends, we ask them to forgive us so that we can still have a relationship and a friendship. Jesus teaches us that it's important to remember that we shouldn't forgive people because they deserve it. We should forgive people to show them love, mercy, and grace. There is a story in Luke 15 that Jesus tells his people about forgiveness. In the story, Jesus is talking to the Pharisees. Jesus told them this story. A man had two sons. The younger son told his father, "I want my share of your estate before you die." So he basically said, when you die, I'm going to have my share of your money. So his father agreed to divide his wealth between all his sons. A few days later, his younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land. And there he wasted all his money on wild living. About the time his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him back into the fields to feed his pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked so good to him, but no one gave him anything. So, the one brother who spent all his money as soon as he got it had to get a job, and the only job he could get was to look after pigs. And the brother who saved his money and stayed with his father had a place to live, he had love from his dad, and he had food to eat. It is so easy for us to see which one was better, which son was better with their money, and made a better decision. So the story goes on and says, when the brother finally came to his senses, he said to himself, "At home, even the hired servants have enough food to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against both you and heaven, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please, take me on as a hired servant.'" So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you. I am no longer worthy of being called your son." But his father said to the servants, "Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet, and kill the calf we have been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found." And so they had a party. If you were this son, how scared would you be to come home and tell your father what you had done? But the best part of this story for me was that the father literally loved his son so much that he forgave him and even held a party because he had come home and shown him all the love in the world. So the story continues further and says, "Meanwhile, while the older son was in the fields working, when he returned home, he heard music and dancing in the house, and he asked one of the servants what was going on. The servant replied, 'Your brother is back,' he was told, 'and your father has killed the fattened calf. We are celebrating because of his safe return.' The older brother was angry and wouldn't go in. His father came out and begged him, but he replied, 'All these years I've slaved for you and never once refused to do a single thing you told me. And in all that time, you never gave me one goat for a feast with my friends. Yet when this son of yours comes back after squandering your money, you celebrate by killing a fattened calf.' His father told him, 'Look, dear son, you have always stayed by me, and everything I have is yours. We had to celebrate this happy day, for your brother was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, but is now found.'" Don't you think that's kind of unfair? The older brother did everything for the father, and he didn't even get a party. Don't you think it would be hard to not be upset in the situation? Would you be upset in this situation? I mean, it seems very unfair. But the father said to the older son, "My son, everything I have is yours. We have to celebrate and be glad." And this makes sense. It's so much easier to hate than to love. This story shows us about Jesus' love for us. It doesn't matter how many times we mess up or do the wrong things. If we ask Him for forgiveness, He will always forgive us, and He will always show us love, because everything that is His is ours. Daniel 9 verse 9 says, "But the Lord our God is merciful and forgiving, even though we have rebelled against Him." This story teaches us that no matter what, if we ask God for forgiveness, He will wipe our slate clean. He will wash our hearts clean and make sure that we know that He loves us. If we ever get lost, God will welcome us back with open arms and throw a party for us. He will always forgive us and love us.